All right. We just left the theater from seeing Weapons, and this movie was definitely one that I had high on my list. After the disappointment that was Long Legs, I really wasn't excited to see any horror movies come out. But when this trailer dropped, I was impressed by the premise, and it was intriguing. The CTV of the kids running out of their house at night was creepy and created a question, and I was really looking forward to how that question would be answered. The movie started off strong. It told us that the kids disappeared and the whole class was gone. 17 kids in one night. And the only people left in the class are one kid and one teacher. Just off that alone, you're wondering what could have pulled these kids out of this house and what took them and why are they still missing? And you see the community grappling with that. You see everyone affected. You see a scene of everyone pointing fingers at the teacher as if she did something, and we see her struggling with this, like not knowing where they are, and now she's the town pariah, and everyone thinks she did something, and she's drinking because of it, and she's constantly having to keep an eye out, and she thinks people might be after her for something she didn't do. And she, just like everyone else, is affected. She's saddened by these kids' disappearance, and she doesn't understand what happened. She wants answers, and we see her start looking into this on her own. Next, we see a parent named Archer, and he's a dad of one of the kids, and he's looking into it. He's struggling with this loss, and he's taking it upon himself to also look into this. And he's blaming the teacher as well, just like everyone else. He's leading the charge in that. He sleeps in his son's room and constantly rewatches the footage, and he's hopefully trying to catch something. He starts to investigate further and goes to a neighbor's house looking into their camera footage. He uses a map and the footage to triangulate the direction the kids are going, and I really liked this. I loved how he was taking it in his own hands. It reminded me of Prisoner, when his kids disappear and he takes it into his own hands. I thought that was really well done. And he ends up forming an area in which they converge in, and he can see it on the map, but he doesn't know what these houses are, signifying. Where are they at in this neighborhood? And all of it was so compelling. I was so interested in seeing where all this was going, and that's when the movie does something that I feel like was a detriment to itself. It cuts back and forth from different perspectives. Like we see the teacher's perspective, the dad's, we see the principal's, we see a random cop, we see he's sleeping with the teacher, and then it goes to a homeless drug addict's perspective, and then we see the perspective of the little boy, the last one left. It's just so many people. It's 6 people, and the movie will be building to something, and then we'll cut straight to someone else. And don't get me wrong, that can be effective in a lot of movies when all those storylines finally converge and they meet in an effective way. But I feel like in this movie, it just had too many that it would pull you out of the horror and into a whole nother perspective. The cops in particular was just so long and unnecessary. His connection to the teacher was so lackluster, and it felt like they barely had chemistry. Like if you were on a date with this guy, you would just leave. He doesn't feel like he's into it. And his plot with the homeless guy was so uninteresting. It got interesting with him and the homeless guy arriving to the house, the boy's house. And we see in the homeless guy's perspective that he breaks into the house, and that's when he finds the kids in that abandoned house. Well, it's not abandoned, but it looks abandoned. And I enjoyed the way they shot it, even though I wish that it was Archer who found them. He was the one that was leading the charge and looking for these kids. We see him building all this stuff up for him to be the one that finds them, and he does, but we already know where they are by the time he, finds them. We've already had 20 minutes to know this. And I think with him being, the obsessed dad and putting all the clues together, it would have been more impactful if it was him. But back to the cop. The shot of him going inside the house was scary, and him dragging the homeless guy inside was scary too. But ultimately, the only purpose that he served in this story was just to be a familiar face to get the teacher inside, and to eventually die by her hands. As for the principal's backstory, it's effective in how it concluded, but getting there was the problem for me. From the principal's perspective, we see the villain for the first time, the one who does all this. And I thought her design was interesting, but after seeing her speak and interact with the principal, and when she goes to his home, she just came off as goofy to me. I didn't feel like she was someone to be scared of. Like the scene where she takes control of the principal and uses him to kill his husband and send him after Justine, the teacher, was horrifying, especially because it was broad daylight and his face was just mangled. It was terrifying and done extremely well. Seeing how easily the witch could control people was unsettling. It just didn't reflect in her character of how sinister her actions were. The movie just had a tone of sadness and darkness, and the movie stopped feeling serious when she was on screen in that full makeup. And that's our villain. I want to keep that. And when we finally get the perspective of the little boy, Alex, we learn that it's his aunt that's the witch, and she comes to town to stay with his family, and she ends up doing rituals on his parents to make herself younger. And she comes in and, you know, just stays for the sole purpose of draining his parents. I thought that story was handled so well. The misery and no longer being safe in your own home and being held hostage by a stranger was terrifyingly effective. When we see the scenes of the witch in this part, she's a lot more of a presence. She's more menacing. She doesn't have all that goofy makeup on. She stands there and she threatens. She's scary. And I like when they use her in a serious way rather than the persona that she has to put on. Then we see her starting to deteriorate, and we see how the kids finally went missing. And it was her making Alex take something from every kid in class so she could use those talismans to bring the kids to her in a ritual so she can control them and, you know, feed off their youthfulness, I guess. And that was a great way to answer the question that the whole movie was asking: what happened to the kids? The scene of her staring at Alex at the front door was super chilling. I don't think the climax of the movie was well thought out. It felt rushed. It felt like there was so much time that we built up to something that didn't end up being as climactic. By the time they got to the house, I wasn't sure if this was the end yet. I was like, are we already here now? Is this it? The fight scenes were great, and I felt engaged in them. Billy running from his parents and breaking the hold on them was so well done. It just felt like the movie deserved more than our two main characters just having one-on-one fights with people who were under the witch's control. I mean, Archer literally runs into the witch for a half a second, and Justine never sees her. I don't know if this was intentional, but it felt underwhelming. And when Alex breaks the spell, it causes all the kids to go after the witch. And there's a scene where she runs away from all these kids, and it's comedic. I mean, our whole theater was laughing. And I don't know if that was the tone that Zach Cregger was going for, but the movie thus far was so serious. And hearing people laughing in the theater just makes me feel like there was a tonal shift. And I don't think that's a good thing. And after all the kids catch up with the witch and kill her, her hold is broken on everybody. And we see that Alex's parents are now free, but they'll never be the same. And the kids in town are catatonic too. And Archer is just carrying his son down the street, and the son's just expressionless. Then the movie wraps up so quickly, like right there, by having the narrator tell us that Alex moved away and the kids will never be the same again. And that's the end. When I saw how abruptly it ended, I just felt unsatisfied. Telling us just what happened in a narration and not paying off our main character's journey makes this indifferent to me. It makes the whole movie indifferent to me. And we didn't get to see what happened to Justine, the main character, or see how the community reacted to the kids getting found. We didn't get to see if anyone learned that it was a witch who caused all of this, and we didn't even get to see Archer with his boy. He left so abruptly, and the movie stopped so abruptly that I couldn't believe that that's where they chose to end it. I don't feel like the first half should have been as long as it was. You could take out most of the cop's perspective and nothing would change. After switching to so many point of views, I didn't feel like when we got to the climax we were really there. didn't feel like a last stand or anything, and when I realized it was over and that was it, I just didn't feel satisfied. Overall, the movie was shot very well, and it had great directing, and the cinematography was fantastic. It did an excellent job in creating a horror atmosphere that made you feel uncomfortable as you watched it. It had plenty of scenes that were great, and it had a lot of moments that created questions. It was a great theater experience, but some parts didn't stick the landing for me. I think everyone should go see it. I think it's a great theater experience. And for me, I'd give it a 8.3 out of 10. I wish some things were different, but it was a great premise, and I'll have to rewatch it again. But yeah, I think it should be seen. It's a solid movie. There were just things that I wish were done different. And for me, those things are big things. But, to each his own. So if you enjoy it, I'm glad you enjoy it. If you haven't seen it, go see it. And I hope you enjoy yourself. That's it.